I've always been a fan of a smart home. Basically, I am a geek, and everything that helps me being lazy is a big plus. And if you remember correctly, I did put up smart blinds in the house. All rooms are almost have their smart blinds set up, except for one room. That will come later. But now I'm actually going to be focusing on the lights. And I'm going to start with, I think, the easiest one or the simplest one. And that is for the bedroom. So as now stands, how I have to turn off and turn on the light bulb is screwing the bulb back in or out if I want to turn it off or on. But yeah, it's getting a little bit tiring to do that. So yeah, let's fix that. So here are the wires, and here I installed one plug, but now I'm gonna uninstall it and make the changes so I have more outlets here, and here's gonna be the switch. There are 3 wires because here's one light that has been, and here is the potential for the second light. I don't know exactly what was the idea there, but what the hell. I'll probably install some cute light there, who knows. But they have to be on separate switches. So I'll have to do some kind of work with that one. But I'm definitely going to start with this one. So at least I don't have to, step on the bed or stand next to the bed to turn it off. But before I can even start working on the electricity, I have to turn off the breaker. So let's do that. I know what you need, I would bleed for you. So here are the breakers, and I have to find the correct one, which is number 12. And now I just have to see if the light turned off upstairs. Yeah, the light bulb is out, so now I can start working on the electricity in this room. So yeah, let's begin. I needed to grab a couple of extra wires so I can do this. I want this on the end because the smart device I'm going to be using needs both neutral and the line. Usually you just need the line, but I'm going to be using neutral and line because it's a smart device. So I'm going to have here is going to be a outlet. This will be a switch for the corner light, which I showed you before, and here's going to be another switch. But I'm not going to be installing this one because I need to buy more cable to run from here and into the light up there. So, but yeah, let's do that. First off, installing these 2 outlets and then passing them on to here. Okay, the keen eyed of you might have noticed that I didn't have ground here because basically for the smart switch there's no ground. There's only the line in, the one with the phase, and the neutral wire. But yeah, that's it. Now I'm just going to hook it over to here and start finishing it off. And this is the smart device I'm going to be using. This hooks up to my Home Assistant, which is the brain of the operation, and that is going to be determining if power goes in or out for the light itself. So let me see. Okay, this is set. The switch above is not going to take that much space, but I can come back to it later on. I need an extra wire for this light in the corner. I need an extra light for the one in the corner, and this one is not going to be any issue because basically the light switch is just going to plop over it. It's not going to be anything, and 2 extra wires come from here into the light switch, so it's all going to be good. But I'm not sure if I have extra wire for that. No, it doesn't look like it. But I'm gonna check. Would you look at that? I do have extra wire. So I'm gonna plump it through. Let me see if I'm able to do that. Better to do it from the other side. Yeah, I'm going to be tearing out the wires and reinstalling them. I think it's simpler. Which of course means undoing this, but not that much of a hassle. From your sleepy eyes, I can tell you all the treasure. I did find an extra ground wire, which I'm going to be hooking up here. Let me see, like so, and like so. I'm going to be trying to pull just one wire through. And let's see if that works. Let's fly through. Nope, that's definitely not working. I think I'll just have to pull it all out. Fantastic. Okay, all the wires are pulled out. Perfect. Now I just need to line them up so I can actually pull them through.
How this turns out. We've seen it all long before now. You can feel me in the air you breathe. I might be gone, but I never leave. We've come so far, learning who we are, way above the sea. Let's fly through the dark. In a wild fantasy, where you lay your hands upon me. 12,000 feet below, the deepest that we could go.
Okay, small change of plans. The light that's supposed to be up there, that's gonna be just a smart light. Forgetting the switch, because kinda don't need it. It's an extra light and I can just control it via app. So I'm just gonna be putting one switch, just one switch. So instead of having two switches here, I'm going to have three electrical outlets and just one switch. And that one switch is going to control the main light, and that extra light is just going to be for, via smart light. Because there's no way in hell that I'm getting 7 wires through that little tube. So just 5. Let's try that one out.
I'm much better off. No doubt we had the best times. But oh, ouch, you hurt me more times. So I held you close, hoping you would crack and leave.
So after hours and hours of trying to pull the wires through and increasing the wires to 7 from 6, I gave up. I tried everything, literally everything. Wait a second. Yeah, I tried everything. And the final thing I decided to do was just have 5 wires, because there is a little corner light over there. I'm just gonna make it smart. I'm not gonna have a switch for it. I might do something else later on, but for now, it's just gonna be a smart light, and I'm just gonna have a lighting switch for the main light. But yeah, it just has to be like that. So now I'm just gonna be wiring this up, and then I'm gonna hook up the light. I don't have a light crown or anything like that, not for this room at least. So yeah, let's get to wiring this up.
So I held you close, hoping you'd crack and leave. 'Cause I only fall in love with things I feel. If you ask me now, I'm happy that you're gone. And I'm so much happier now on my own.
And if you're wondering the difference of the colors, if they're different from your country, I don't know. Yellow green, this is ground. Brown is the phase or the line, electrical line. And the blue is neutral. So yeah, but our system is a little bit different from the US. In the US you use 110 volts, we use 220. So double the power. Don't know what the difference is, but it's different. That's the only thing I can think of in the moment.
You know they say we're just animals. Yeah, what animal are you? The one who stays or the one who runs away like prey? You cannot hide it, I'm watching you.
And since the smart light switch only uses neutral and the phase or the line, can't remember which one is what, but yeah, and since it's that way, I'm going to be using it just two. The ground's going to be here. If I need ground, there's always ground in this ceiling, but I doubt I'm going to need it. So this is the smart device I'm going to be installing also in the top corner. For those who want to know, it's a Zigbee device, so it works as a router. So it creates a mesh network for all my smart things, because of course I'm addicted to smart homes, because I'm making it my own, so why not? Making a smart home for a lazy man, it's perfect. It's basically very basically a glorified clapper, but I can hook this up to what I use is Home Assistant that is connected to Google Assistant, so I can talk to Google and tell it to turn off the lights in the bedroom, which means, because I have also smart curtains and smart radiators, which I'll show you later on, so I can basically say good night Google or something like that after saying okay and then Google. I don't want to trigger it for everybody who's watching, and I could say good night, and it means it turns off the lights, lowers the temperature in the room, because optimum sleeping heat is supposed to be around 19 to 20, but I have it always to 21. And yeah, and of course, since I'm doing it smart up there, I gain an outlet, and which reminds me of an older device that I got when they were talking about building a house or something like that, and you're thinking of how many outlets you need. Think of the number you need and then double it, because you're always running out of outlets, right? Power strips for the win for many of us, which is hopefully not going to be the case for me, except for, never mind. But yeah, now that's finished, and I have to connect it up into the ceiling. So, but before I do that, I have to turn off the breaker again. Oh yeah, and if you're worrying about me standing on the bed, don't worry. I'm gonna change the sheets later on. It was time anyways, so why not do it now? So I don't know if you can see it, but this one is actually for the corner light over there, which is going to be one I'm going to be smartifying up later on. Not now, but later. I hate these type of wires. I'm gonna swap it out. Should only take a couple of seconds. was hoping I could skip using the fishing line, a fishing hook, which is, as it's called in English, well, it's called ídráttarfjöður, which I think is draw through feather. Well, pretty basic. Like I said before, I don't have the chandelier. I'm going to Reykjavik actually next week, which is no excuse why I haven't published in a while, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'm going to Reykjavik. And I'm actually might buy a chandelier, but I still have no idea. So if you have any ideas, please hook me up in the comments and let's see how that goes. But let's see if this turns on. Here's hoping nothing fails when I put back in the breaker. Well, it seems to work fine, so let's check it out. Well, the breaker didn't fail me, and I'm connecting it to the smart home. It seems to have worked. Let me see. Perfect. Yes. Excellent. So happy. It works. Let me see. And of course I'm putting it into the smart devices. So see if it works actually. Okay, Google. Turn on the bedroom light.
Turning the bedroom light on.
I'm so proud of myself right now. I'm so proud.
No, but I found these results on search.
Is it me or is the Google Assistant getting more and more cynical? I think they've overdone the AI maybe at Google. Just kidding. Don't know anything about it. I don't have the trim around it, and of course I told you I don't have the switch here, so when I'm in Reykjavik I'm going to be buying that. So I'm just going to make everything fits and close it off somewhat. Yeah, of course I'm using a screwdriver on a live socket. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Famous last words, right? Well, at least this room is done for now. But I don't have any switches because what the previous owner had bought was dimmers for all. I'm not going to be using dimmers because this here system doesn't allow dimmers. I might change out the light bulb for a smart one and then I can dim it as I want. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this and head on to the next room. after I change the sheets after standing on the bed. But at least I don't have to do that anymore to turn off the lights. So the bedroom's wall is finished for now. For now, I just need to get a new light for that one, which reminds me, hit me up in the comments. And if you watch this far along, how about hitting the like and subscribe button? It really helps out. When I'm recording this, I'm only 2 from 500, which would be awesome to get. But here it is, the next one. And I'm going to be putting an outlet here. I'm going to be putting a light switch here. But as you remember, all my issues with the heating and so on has made this crack here. I've already filled it in a little bit, and also the previous electrician, more correctly, the electrician that was working here, because I'm not an electrician, made this hole a little bit too big, so I had to putty it up and fill it up a little bit, but it's getting here. So I had already pulled the wires because I was in the mood and wanted to get going. So I already pulled the wires, so the wires are ready. I just have to hook it up and hang the new light. Yeah, I did decide on a new light here. But I need to let this dry, and I'm also gonna fill in this crack here. So yeah, and then I have to repaint it. But at least this will be done. So this part of the this is, by the way, the light for the living room. So this part should be finished after this. But yeah, now I just need to let this dry here, and then I can keep on cracking on. I'll probably fill in this here crack just to let it dry at the same time, and then I'll come over with a sandpaper and tidy it up. So everything has been spackled and everything's ready, except now I need to let it dry, and then I can sand it down, repaint it, and then I can finish the outlet. But that's gonna have to wait for tomorrow. But yeah, pretty happy with this. And yeah, getting the wires easily was quite nice. And if you want to know how stubborn I am, and when I was fighting the lighting, the wires for the bedroom, how stubborn I was is this stubborn. So yeah, I may have pulled a little bit too much or too hard. Yeah, and I actually pulled the electrical wires apart. Yeah, which made me rethink everything, which is why there's only 6 wires there and there's only 5 wires there and not 7 like I planned on. Here are only 5, so this was easy peasy considering the other one. But yeah, back at it tomorrow. Okay, this is fully dried now, so now I can sand it down, which is definitely making me have flashbacks from when I actually painted the living room and the kitchen. But yeah, it has to be done. Okay, that's done. Now I can actually paint it. Yeah, let's do that now.
You would have flown into the sun if I let you. Now it's starting to make sense. You were meant to. You were signed to let me.
Okay, it's done for now. I think it looks okay. I will find out better when it dries out. But whilst it's drying out, I'm gonna be working on the wires. Yay! For those of you wondering, no, this is not plugged in yet.
We started, but then you were gone, gone, gone. I started, but I had no chance to cling on.
I made these too short, way too short.
You were fine to let me go like that. You went out of my life, and I went back to silence. You were fine to let me go like that. You went out of my life, and I went back to silence. Let the days be past, days of trying. Give up the aim of perfection.
Okay, that's set up. Now I can start work on putting up the actual chandelier after I kill the breaker, or turn off the breaker rather. Not killing anything. Come on, seriously?
See,
Okay, the breaker is off. Now I can work on that electricity.
the feel of earth and sun, ground and calm you. Feel the sand and salt.
Okay, wiring done for now. So yeah, there is one extra cable here that I haven't hooked up yet, because that is for the fan in the bathroom. Yeah, I know, strange, but it's true, but the fan in the bathroom. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that in for now, and when I hook up the fan, I'll come and redo this, but for now, I'm just gonna leave it as is and just focus on this light. Smallest box in the world, right? Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, I'm gonna install this bracket now. So this is the hook that the light's gonna hang on. So yeah, let's do that. Without hitting the electricals. I don't want to rewire it again.
Brighter day, you know, the path to brighter day. You know, the path to brighter day. You know, the path to brighter
Well, it's a closer examination. The brackets that came with the light is not gonna work. So I'm gonna go to the hardware store tomorrow and pick something up that actually works. So until tomorrow, see ya. So here's future me. Yeah, I had recorded that I had went to the hardware store and picked up the correct hardware, but yeah, I forgot to put on the sound, record the sound, but here it is. Here's the bracket that I bought, or the hardware correctly. And yeah, screw this into the ceiling and hang a S-loop onto it, and then I could hang the chandelier. It couldn't have gone worse, but I'm actually thankful that it didn't succeed. But back to the video and I'll explain later on. So I was able to shorten it. It looks a lot better now. So now I just have to hook it up onto the wires. Yay! I think it looks fantastic. But here's the thing, I don't have the light bulbs for it. So next episode, which is going to be in 2 weeks, yeah, I'll try it out and see if it works. But I think it looks good. So I'm going to take a couple of B-rolls and let's see how it came out. So I had to take it down again. So the reason why I had to take it down again was quite simple. I thought I had a proper hold for the hardware, but yeah, that wasn't so. Basically, it was a false hold that I got, and I noticed late in the evening that after I had installed it that it was drooping. It was actually sliding down. So it would have been just a question of time when it would have dropped, and I ain't gonna be here for a week, so it could have dropped in that time. But I'm really thankful that I caught that. Holy hell. But there's also one thing more, and that's why I'm grateful that it actually didn't hold. Because if you remember, I was talking about there was an extra wire up there that I thought was for the bathroom fan, and I hadn't hooked up, and I was gonna do later. Well, so when I went to the attic to check out why there wasn't any hold, I discovered that one of the reasons why that was because basically, so the previous owner hadn't removed any of the old tubes that are supposed to put the wires into, because they basically just built around it and went past it, which can be okay, it doesn't matter that much. But it meant that the old ceiling can was actually above the new one. So there was nothing there to hold on to. But also I discovered, as I said, the wire that was supposed to go from this ceiling junction over to the bathroom fan, yeah, that wasn't going there. And I discovered that it had been cut in half and was actually not leading to anywhere. So I'm so grateful that I discovered that, because if I had plugged that in, that could have been a huge fire hazard, because it was just lying on the insulation with nothing attached to the end. Yeah, could have ended real badly. But yeah, more about that in the next video, but I'm gonna leave it here. It's been a long one. I'm so grateful you bared through it all, but I'll see you next time in 2 weeks time. But see ya.